Hello everyone, welcome again to another live stream after a week. Last week we didn't have a live stream, but today we do. Thank you for being patient. In this live stream, again, we are going to continue working on our pet clinic that it's coming up and it's shaping up to be a very interesting project. Welcome everyone to the stream, and we have a very packed agenda today, by the way. I had some time to work on or to think about what we are going to do today. And the one thing that I want to work on is the scheduling for doctors specifically. Because last week we introduced the concept of slots. We introduced time slots where we can assign appointments into those time slots. And we created a table, we created the migration. But when I started thinking, well, I cannot assign a time slot directly to a doctor. A doctor needs to have a schedule. And that schedule can have open time slots where owners or even doctors can then assign appointments into those time slots. So we are going to create a schedule, and we are going to create a resource to manage that schedule today. So that's the plan. Why don't we just get started? Let me just pull up my notes real quick so I'm not completely unprepared. All right. So first thing we're going to do, we need a new model, right? We need a new model for the schedule. So let's do PHP artisan make model schedule. And I'm going to create the migration right away. And let's work on that schedule model. Migration, sorry. Hopping into VS Code. Just make sure everything is looking good. If the music is too loud, please let me know. I hope it's not too disturbing. But if it is, just let me know, all right? Let me see. Hello, Wasim. How you doing, my friend? How is your weekend going? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you for joining the stream. Let's see, open these schedules. No, this is not the files. I need the files. Here we are. Database, migrations, create schedules, table. Bo Waller, I think this is far. I haven't seen you here before. Thank you for joining me in this live stream. How is your weekend going? I hope you're having a great day, just as I am. And we have also MN Dev. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. So what do we need for the schedules table? We need... well, a schedule needs a date so that a doctor can have schedules for different dates, and on those dates he can have as many open slots as he chooses to. So let's start with a date field. And let's call that column date. And since this schedule belongs to a doctor, let's create a foreign ID. Foreign ID for user, a user class. And we are going to name this foreign ID owner ID. And I think that's all we need for the schedule table. So let's save that and close it. And now, since we are going to create a resource for the schedule model, we need a pivot table, because that's what multi-tenancy requires. So let's create that table right away. PHP artisan make migration, and it's clinic schedule because it has to be alphabetical, in alphabetical order. Let's see, clinic schedule table. Actually, this is create. This is a new table. So create clinic schedule table, like so. Let me check. First time in your life, but I look your awesome videos. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you find them helpful. Looks like the Discord link is not working again. I'll fix it in just a second. Yeah, I don't know why, but I always create a link and I specifically checked the mark where it says does not expire, but apparently it does. So yeah, thank you for letting me know, and I'll fix the link. If I don't do it in this stream, I'll do it at the end, and I'll update the link in the description. But thank you. Yes, the videos of Sir is super awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. It really does. Thank you. So we have the pivot table for the clinic schedule. So that will allow us to create a resource for the schedule and not have Filament scream at us that we don't have a relationship. Speaking of relationships, well, we'll deal with relationships in just a moment, because we now have to update the slots table. Because, let me show you. When we created the slots table, where is it? A clinic pet, user. Where is the migration for the slots? Here it is. Okay, so when we created the slots table, we have a date, and that we moved this date to the schedule. So we have to drop that column. Start and end stays the same. So is status, but I want to modify the status to have a default value. Whenever we create a slot, I want the slot to be by default available. And then later on, when we assign that slot to an appointment, we turn that into we modify the column to be reserved. And also, we don't need a foreign ID for user anymore, because this now belongs to schedule. So we have to drop this column and create a new foreign ID for schedule. We have someone from Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau. The Capiter Grim 666. Hello, sir. How you doing? How is your weekend going? I hope you're having a great day today. Let's see. Oh, one thing that you have to keep in mind when modifying migrations or modifying tables, and specifically when dealing with SQLite, is that if you want to drop columns in a table, you cannot, unfortunately, do multiple drop columns in one migration. That's a limitation for, I think it's just for SQLite. So, and also you cannot drop a column and create a new one in the same migration as well. So we are going to have to create one migration file to drop the date column, and then another migration file to modify the status, and another 2 migration files for dropping the owner ID column and for creating a new foreign ID for schedule. So let's run through those real quick. So PHP artisan make migration, and this is going to be, let's drop the date column first. Update slots table, drop date column. And this is going to be for the table slots. See, okay. I'm going to create all the migration files first, and then I'm going to jump back to VS Code and edit those migrations. So I have all of them already created. So one's for dropping the date. Another one is for dropping the owner ID. Then I need one more to add the schedule ID. And then finally, I need another migration file to update or modify, let's say, change the status column. Like so. Okay, let's clean this up and let's go back to VS Code and work on those migrations. We have a lot of them. See, let's first drop the date column. So we do table, drop column, and then date. All right, let's also, for consistency, if we were to roll back this migration, we need to recreate that table once again. So table, date, date. All right, so we are dropping the date column. Let's now drop the owner ID. And just so you know, there is another limitation with SQLite where I cannot specifically drop the foreign key or you cannot drop foreign keys. You can drop the column associated with the foreign key, but you cannot drop foreign keys specifically. For that, unfortunately, you would have to drop the table and then recreate the table. And it's something that we could do, but in this instance, I'm just choosing to drop the column instead. So let's just say table, drop column, owner ID. And yeah, sometimes I'm gonna, when we're coding, I sometimes don't want to get my face in the way. So sometimes I'm gonna hide my face for a bit where we are focusing on the code, and yeah, I'll be showing it and hiding it from time to time. So don't worry about it. It is by design. We have a question in the chat. Can we separate, hi Julia, by the way, how you doing? Can we separate two rows with two panels, and how I can achieve that? Please make a video for that if you don't mind. Do you mean that, well, the thing is, panels and rows are not like married together. Meaning that you can create a panel and then you can define who can access the panel based on the role. So technically, and I think we did this in the last stream, where if you go to app, filament, resources, we have no, it's not resources. Hold on. We didn't create a new panel, did we? Yeah, we didn't create a new panel last time. Or maybe it's in Filament. No, it's on providers. Yeah, it's coming back. Filament. Yeah, we do. We created, as you can see here, we have two providers because we have two panels. We have one panel for admins and we have one panel for owners. But that's not related to, you could have panels without having roles. So and then once you have those panels and you have roles in your application, however system you want to use, if you want to use patty roles, or if you are using your own set of roles, you can define who has access to these panels, the admin or the owner, via the user model. If you open the user model, you have a function called can access panel. And there is where you define, okay, who has access to this panel. That's something that you have to design, and it doesn't come with Filament. You have to use your own roles and whatever system you're using for roles, and then you have to incorporate those into the user model and decide who has access to each panel, because by default everyone has access to every panel if they have if they have the credentials for it. So I hope that's clear, but yeah, basically you can create as many panels as you want, and then you use your own techniques to limit the access to those panels using the user model. All right, back to... You're welcome. Back to... And as always, if you are having problems and you are having errors and something's not going right, you can always go to my Discord server and post a question in the technical help section for Filament or Laravel, and I'll do my best to follow up and try to help you with whatever problems you have. All right, back to the code. We are dropping the owner ID column. And for consistency, let's recreate that if we roll back. So table foreign ID for user class owner ID. And now we need to add the foreign ID for schedule. Close this up, and here we can say table foreign ID for the new model that we created, which is schedule class, and it's going to create a column called schedule ID in the table. And if we are going to roll back, then we need to drop that column. So table drop column schedule ID. All right, next we need to change the status column. As I mentioned before, the column needs a default value so that when we create a slot, that slot is going to be by default available. So let's say table, and this is a string column called status And then we say default available. And the way that you modify columns in migrations is you define the new definition of the column, and then you call change so that any changes that you made to that column take effect. And if we were to roll back, then we say string status without a default value, and then we call change again. All right, perfect. I think that's pretty much all the migrations that we need. We have the schedule, we have the schedule pivot, and we modify the slots table. I'm sure there's gonna be another migration maybe, but for now this is good. Now that we have our migrations, let's actually run them just to make sure everything's working. PHP artisan migrate. All right, everything is good. Now we can do the relationships of the models because we have a few new relationships. So let's start with schedule. Schedule. Debjit's in the house. How you doing, my friend? Welcome back again to another stream. How's your weekend going? I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for showing up. Let's see. So a schedule, first of all, has an owner. So let's work on the owner relationship. So public, if I remember how to type, public function owner. This is going to be a belongs to relationship. And then we return this belongs to user class, and the relationship name or the foreign ID is actually called owner ID. All right, Alejandro Garcia from Colombia. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining us in this stream. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. A schedule has an owner, and also a schedule has many slots. So public function slots. This will be a has many relationship. Let's return this has many slot class, and that's all. Have you used ragon? Thank you for changing the stream time. 3 a.m. is just too late. Have to wake up early for Monday. Yeah, I know. I was having the same comment from several people who are in across the pond, like Europe, Spain, many other places, and Netherlands, for example. So yeah, I'm glad that the new schedule is working for everyone. It's working for me too. I mean, it's nice to do a stream early in the morning. And Laragon, no, I haven't used that. Is it like a tall stack or something like that? I'm not familiar. Laragon. Now you pick my interest. Hold on. What is Laragon? Modern and powerful, easy operation, productive, portable, fast, effective. Wow, that's a mouthful. It's a local server. Something like Herd or something? Yeah, it's it seems to be something like Herd where you... Is this for Windows only? Let me see. Download. Ragon. Okay. So it's a portable development environment. That's interesting. Things have gotten so much easier now. Like for Windows, for example, setting up your development environment for Windows used to be a pain. Not even for Windows, just not just for Windows, but for Mac as well. I mean, in Mac now you have Herd, you just install that and you're good to go. On Windows now you can use WSL. I know it's a little bit of a longer road, but it's a lot easier than before. Things have gotten so much better. Comes with SuperWire, SuperPower. It's like Valet for Mac. You're using WSL actually. So this will help you do things faster. I love this over Valet for Mac OS. I never used Valet, to be honest. I kind of, since I come from like I'm old school, and I used to, believe it or not, in my day, that sounds so old. In my day, I had to compile the PHP from source code every time I wanted to create a dev environment. That's how far back I go. But yeah, when I started using my Mac, the first thing I used was Homebrew. You know, install everything like the database server, PHP, what else? Every other dependency I was using Homebrew. And yeah, it was a little bit of a pain. But then I started using Sail and everything got a lot better. I started using Homestead first, and then I moved to Sail, and now I'm using Herd, but I'm not using my Mac as much as I used to. Now I'm mainly using my Windows PC. I have a question. While creating a system with various panels and roles using Filament, is it possible to use a single login for all the panels? I don't think that's possible, because when you create in Filament, at least in Filament, when you create a new panel, that panel comes with its own URL and its own login. So a panel is just another bucket with all of the pages for authentication and all of the resources. So the login page and the registration page and everything else, it's on its own panel. So I don't think, unless you do something very creative, something that I haven't tried before, I don't think you can. I might be wrong, but at least in my experience, when you create a new panel, you have to work with the login page of that panel, because it has its own set of pages and routes and everything else. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for all of your questions. I really appreciate you showing up. It's great to have you here. But where were we? I mean, we were, let's see. So, okay, we were doing the relationships. Okay, let's go back to code. We are done with schedule model, where it has an owner and slots. Now we have to modify the slot model, because now the owner is not the user but the slot model. So let's change this. owner to belong to schedule. And what else? Oh, the schedule, since we are going to work on a resource, we need to create a public function clinic, I believe. This is a belongs to many. So let's return. Return. No, return. Come on, return. There you go. This belongs to many clinic. Like so. And I think we also need the inverse of this relationship so that the multi-tenancy will work. So we need to open the clinic model and add one more relationship for schedules. So public function schedules. Again, this is a belongs to many relationship. Where this belongs to many schedule class. I'm so glad you make this video. Oh, I'm so glad it is helping you. I mean, that's why I'm doing it. To help people level their knowledge of not just Laravel, but Filament. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Okay. So we have I think I have all of the relationships. We have slot. We are not creating a resource for slots, so we don't need a pivot table for that. We do have one for schedule and clinic and the relationships. So I think we're ready to create the schedule resource. Let me just check my notes real quick. Yeah, we did that. We updated the slots table. We have a pivot table. Yep. All right, yeah. I think we're ready to create our resource for schedule. So PHP artisan make filament resource schedule, which is the model class name, model name. And let's use generate to scaffold the table and the form. And we want these in which panel? The admin panel, of course. Okay, that's that. And let's work on that resource. So let's open Filament, resources, schedule resource. And let's start with the form. We have two forms here, two inputs, one for the date and one for the owner. So when we are creating a schedule, we know, let's see, let me think about this. First, let's go and see how it looks. Let's reload. And we have schedules here. Obviously, we are not going to... Oh! No such column, clean schedule, schedule ID. Oh, of course. I created the migration file and I didn't add any column to it. Silly me. database, migrations, clinic schedule, table. So we need a pivot table, and the pivot table needs to have the foreign keys for both tables, of course. So foreign ID for this, let's start with clinic class, and another foreign ID for schedule. Wait, when I ran this migration already, didn't I? Might have to roll back. Let me see. If I run the migration again and nothing runs, then yeah, I need to roll back. PHP artisan. Did I save? Yes. PHP artisan migrate. Yeah, nothing to migrate. Let's roll back the last migration. How did I roll back? Is it rollback? Yeah, all right. So we roll the last set of migrations, and now let's run them again. So now the pivot table has the columns that I need. Means that this error should go away, and it does. Awesome. We'll work on the table second. Let's start with the form first. First thing I want to do is turn this into a single column. For that, I'm going to use a section. Components. What? You don't like it? Let's see, forms. Components. Okay, now you're working. Section make. Let's put these two inputs into that section, like so. Okay, looks better. Second thing I want to do is change this to be a non-native date picker. So this is required, but let's use native false. Much better. Whoa, what's this? Haven't seen this before. That looks awful. What's going on? Huh. I don't like that. Is it just in dark mode? Sorry for blinding everyone. Yeah, it's just in dark mode. That's interesting. Maybe it's something that's, because this seems like a problem, like a proper problem. But since I've been burned before, why don't we run a composer update? Maybe it got fixed in one of the latest releases, just to make sure that I'm not crazy. Let me clear this. Let's do composer update. And while that's running, let me go back to chat. Is it possible if a pivot table has an extra field, and how to fill it using Filament resource form? It's not something Filament related, but you can update and you can update and fill columns in a pivot table. That's something Laravel related. And that's in the documentation. I think when you think the method name is with pivot, something like that. I'll look it up and let you know. I never do migration rollback. It's too scary for me. Yeah, I know. It's a tricky situation. You have to be careful. But yeah, thankfully it's not too big of an application at this point. But yeah, could be scary. You can roll back 1, 2, or more steps. Yeah. Here are the specific instructions. Rollback, it's scary. Instead, I delete from migration and drop table. Well, that's an option too. I mean, there are people that don't even use migrations at all in their projects because it's like an unknown, and if you don't know something enough, that can be scary, and they just skip it and they go directly to the database and do everything in a console. But it's a valid option too. Okay, upgrade is done. Let's go back, see if that fixed the problem. Fingers crossed. Ah, yeah, that was it. So the moral is always keep updating Filament. Apparently, issues get fixed regularly. And that saves you the trouble and going to their Discord server and asking for a question, and they come back saying, "Did you upgrade?" And you're like, "Yeah, no, I didn't." All right, so date, is non-native and looks good on dark mode. And now we have the owner, but yeah, okay. First of all, I want this to be non-native as well. So let's go back and change this to native false. Now, as you can see, the list of owners includes people that are not doctors. And I want to limit the options when creating a schedule to only show users that have the doctor role. So let's work on that. Are you using S3 to upload? No, I'm using the local, I'm guessing you're referring to uploading images or files, specifically for the pets. And no, I'm not using S3, although using S3 would be very simple to implement. But right now I'm using the local file system. So let's go back to VS Code and let's limit the options on this select, because I think we're going to have to drop the relationship and instead use our own set of options. So let's do that. And let me comment out this first. And let's do options. And this will take an array or an arrayable class. And a collection is an arrayable class. So we can go... Now, first of all, how do we get only the doctors? How do we get a list of only the doctors? But not only that, how do we get only the doctors for that clinic? Because if we move to users, for example, in this default clinic, I only have 2 users and none of them are doctors. We have an admin and we have an owner. So if I were trying to create a schedule for a doctor in this default clinic, I wouldn't have any. So the list of doctors would be empty. But if I move to my awesome clinic, here I believe we do have one doctor. So I not only need the list of only the doctors, but I need only the doctors for that specific tenant or that clinic. So how do we achieve that? Oh, you got it? With pivot? Oh, perfect. That was off the top of my head. Thankfully, I wasn't wrong. Let's see. So how do we get the list of only the doctors for a specific clinic? Let's go back to VS Code. We do have the option to get the, let's start by getting the current tenant. All right. So filament. See, shouldn't you exclude super user on user resource? No, because this when you're in here in the users panel, this can only be used by admins. Only admins have access to this specific resource. So if you're an admin, you can create owners, admins, doctors, whatever. So you can see all of them, you can edit them, and you can add any kind of doctor, any kind of user. So this is just for admins. So it wouldn't make sense to hide them from this resource. So admins can create and edit their own admins as well. So here, let's start by getting the current tenant, and we can use the filament facade with the GetTenant method. So this is going to give us a clinic. This is going to give us the clinic model, specifically the clinic model this is going to give us the specific clinic model. Sorry, let me collect my thoughts. When you do get tenant, you get a clinic model, but just a clinic model of the current clinic that you are currently in. I said currently like 20 times. But basically, this allows me to then chain the users. Hold on. Let me open the clinic model real quick. Yeah. We have a users relationship in the clinic model. So if I do users, this will get me the list of users for the current clinic. But now I need to filter those by row. And I believe we can use something called where belongs to. This is a way for, this is something that we can use to filter the results of a relationship by using another relationship. And I believe this takes in a model class, a model instance. So what we can do is, let's go up here and let's say doctor role equals role where name is doctor. Let's get the first entry. So this will give us the doctor role model. And now we can pass that to where belongs to doctor role. And if I'm not mistaken, you have to do a get. And then let's just pluck the name and ID from the resulting collection. so that it will properly show on the select input. All right, let's try this out. Let's go back to the schedules, create a new schedule. And now we are in my awesome clinic where we have one doctor. And yep, that works. There's only one doctor here. And if we move over to the default clinic where there are no doctors, then the list is empty. Perfect. All right, let's switch to this clinic and keep working on here for the time being. All right. So just to sum up what I just did, I needed a list of all the users for the current tenant or the current clinic. And the way that you get the current tenant model is with Filament GetTenant. That will give you a clinic model class. And on that model class, you have the users relationship. So that will give you the list of all the users on that for that tenant or that clinic. But I need to reduce that list to just show the users that belongs to a specific role, in this case the doctor role. So I find that doctor role first using the role where name, and then I use where belongs to filter a relationship or the results of a relationship. So I pass that doctor role to where belongs to, and that'll give me just the list of users for the current tenant that belong to the doctor role. And then I do get to get the collection, and from that collection you have to get plug out just the ID and the name so that the options will render properly. So this will give you a collection of something like this. So you have the ID, for example, user ID 1, and then the name of that user, Virgil. So that'll be the resulting array or collection. Okay. What else do we need for when we're creating a schedule? So we need the date, we need the owner, and of course we need the time slots. And for that, I'm going to use a repeater. So let's add forms, components, repeater, make. This was going to be for, I believe you have to use the relationship name here. So slots. And then you have to mark this as a relationship. And finally, you have to define a schema, because a repeater is just is going to give us forms, and those forms are going to be repeated over and over again. So we have to define the schema for those forms. And in the case of slots, we only need the start and end time. So forms, components, time picker, make. This will be for start. I don't want to show the seconds on those inputs, so seconds false. And I do need them to be required. And I'm going to need a second one for the end time. So time picker, make end, no seconds, and require. Okay, let's see how that looks. All right, so this is how a repeater looks like. We have the option to, sorry, we have the option to, a little bit of water. We have the option to remove this slot. By default, you're gonna get one item in that repeater, but you can remove it, and also you have the option to add more slots, like so. Frankly, getting course error on S3 black place bucket, and it's annoying. I bet it is. Honestly, I haven't worked with S3 much, so I couldn't tell how annoying it is, but apparently it is very annoying. Yeah, I'm sorry you're having problems. If you need help, just let me know in the Discord server, and we can figure it out. So let's try creating one schedule here. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Let's create a schedule for today, Sunday. The owner is going to be Virgil, and let's say starting at 8 a.m. from 8 to, let's say, 8:30. 8:30. That'll be the first slot, and the second is going to be from 8:30 to 9. And then a final slot for 9 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Let's see if this works. Let's do create. And yep, that worked. Well, kinda. I still have to redirect to the schedules list. Let's do that right away, because as you can see, when I created a new record, and now I'm in edit mode, and that's by default. And we have done this modification for pets, I believe, and appointments. So let's do this for schedule as well. Let's see, let's check the pet resource in the create pet. Yeah, we have the protected function, get redirect URL. So let's copy that. And let's open schedule resource, create schedule, paste that here. And let's also use the one for edit. This function right here, get redirect URL. Copy that one as well, and open the edit schedule and paste it here. All right. So we have a schedule. Let's check out the list. For now, we're just looking at date and owner. I need more information. Well, I need two things. First of all, I want to show the slots for the schedule, and I want them to be shown as badges. So we'll create a badge column for the slots. And also, I want to group the rows in this table by date, so that it'll show the date and then all of the owners of schedules in that date with the corresponding slots. So let's start with the badge column. Close a few tabs. Schedule resource. Let's move down to the table. And first of all, we need groups. So let's do groups. This will be an array. And I need to import. We have filament tables. Let's use filament. No, actually. Actually, the groups is within tables. So we are good to go. And here we can do tables, grouping, group, make, and we are going to make a group for the date. I want these to be collapsible. So that I can collapse the every group and every row group and just show the date. And let's see what else. Let's see how that looks. I probably want to hide the date, because if I'm grouping by date, it's going to show in the group title. So I don't need the date column as well. So let's not remove it, but make it toggleable, just like the created ad. So let's do toggleable, and is what? Is toggle hidden by default, and let's set that to true. All right. Let's check this out. We refresh. So we don't have, okay, so we do have the grouping. Wait. Oh, we do have the option to group, but it's not grouping by default. And that should be a thing. So let's, oh, okay. We have to go back and tell the table that the default group is going to be date. All right. Refresh. Okay, now it's grouping by default and by date, and we can collapse that group. And that group and this date only has Virgil in it. Now we need to show the slots. Oh, by the way, when grouping in at least on desktop, you're going to see this option here, or these two drop downs, to group by and to group in specific orders. But if you switch to mobile, what you get is this little drop down. And I kind of like the drop down better. So if, in order to show that in desktop, what you do is, what was the name? Is it group? Yeah, here it is. Group is groups in drop down on desktop. And you set that to, well, it's true by default. So when you do that, now you get the little icon and you have a drop down for the grouping. And I kind of like that better over the two drop downs. Sorry. Let's see, we have some chats. Working on dynamic form creation to take just one survey. Curse of a developer. You mean that you're working on a form creation just for one survey? Is that the curse? Thanks a lot for sharing tonight. I gotta sleep. It's already midnight here. I'll continue watching at the morning. Yeah, don't worry about it. This is going to be the channel, and you can watch it at your own pace. Take care of yourselves. Don't sacrifice sleep. So yeah, don't worry. Go have some sleep. Okay, now, okay, so we need the slots table, the slots column in badges. So let's do that. Let's see. Let's put it right after the owner name. Ooh, what was that? So tables. Thank you so much. Thanks so much love in the chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. Tables, columns, text column make. And I probably just want to show the start. And that makes me question the necessity of having both start and end on slots. I probably just need a start time because whenever, if you think about let's see it in action and then we will decide. So this text column is for the slots relationship and I'm going to show the start time. Ooh, and I need this to be a badge. So by doing this, it's going to look like this. So you can clearly see, okay, so we have 3 slots. One goes from one slot is at 8 a.m. The next one is at 8:30, and that tells me that that's the first slot is 30 minutes long. So yeah, that makes me question the need of having both start and end times on the slot. Is not too big of a deal, but I might drop it at some point. For now, let's just keep it like this. And also let's format this because I want to show the AM PM. And we do that by, I believe we have to do format state using. And so many thank you guys. I see the little hearts just flowing up in the chat and it just makes me so happy. Thank you so much. Let's see. So format using this will take a function or callback function and what do we put here? We can access the current record using or type hinting the slot model. And I probably, instead of having to parse, like instead of doing this like carbon, importing carbon and then doing parse, like this is an option. You can do record start and then use format, and we want that in hours, minutes, and AM PM. Like this is a way to do it, and it certainly works. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. Argument 1 record must be of type. Okay, so sometimes VS Code doesn't import the classes. Let me check. Use app models slot. So it didn't do that the first time around. Should be okay. No, it's not. App model slot. Wait, what? Oh, right. Ooh. So this is not slot, this is schedule, because we're working with a schedule. The current record has to be of type schedule. My bad. So instead of record start, we do record slot start, like this. See, that works. Time to read property start on null. Okay, this is not going well. Slots. The relationship is called slots. But then again, how do I access the slot in this case? Oh, no. I'm doing it wrong. Hold on. If I'm doing format state using, I need the state, not the record. That's silly of me. So here I can do format the state with carbon and then actually parse the state using carbon and then format it as I want. And that works. Okay, sorry about that. But there is a better way to do this, because I don't like to have to parse the state and then reformat it. What we can do instead is go directly to the slot model and then cast the start and end date as carbon instances. And that'll save us the trouble of having to import this carbon class right here. In fact, let's just go up and remove some of those imports, like this one. I don't need that. I don't need this for now. I probably need this somewhere. But let's go back. Let's open the slot model and use, I believe is protected casts. This will take an array, and let's cast the start as date time. And when we do this, the column is going to be an instance. The start column is going to be an instance of a is going to be a carbon instance. So let's do the same for end date time. So if this is going to be a carbon instance, we can go back here to the resource, and instead of having to parse that, I can do state format directly. And if you want to be specific, you can type hint this as carbon. Ooh, let's make sure that import happens. So yeah, in this case, the state instead of being a string is going to be a carbon instance, and then you can format that as you need it. Why is this red? I'm missing a close in parentheses. There you go. And that will have the exact same result. But in my opinion, it looks cleaner. So, okay. I think we are good on the schedules. Let's add a delete action because I'm going to need it later. Let's go to the actions and let's add a delete action right after the edit. Tables, actions, delete action, make. And I'm probably going to need to delete all of the associated slots before I delete the schedule. So let's do before. This will take a closure. So function, and I'm going to need the schedule record here. So schedule record. And what I can do is record slots delete. So before I delete the schedule, I delete all of the slots. That should work. But never trust your own instincts. Always test. I'm gonna open a Tinker session and let's do slot all. At this moment we have 1, 2, 3 slots. But if I go here and then reload, let's delete this, confirm. And now I should have no slots at all. Perfect, that works. Even if you are 100, you can never be 100% sure, but even if you are like 99% sure that what you just coded will work, test it no matter what. Just make sure that your code does what it's supposed to do. Even if you are like, yeah, that's gonna work. Don't trust your instincts, always test. That's my advice. Okay, so we have, I think we're done with schedules, right? Let's recreate that schedule just to work on, because next I'm going to work in appointments, so that now that I have schedules and now that I have schedules with time slots, I want to be able to create appointments on those time slots. So let's create one schedule for virtual, and let's say it goes from 8 a.m. to 8:30. Let's add one more from 8:30 to 9 a.m. And now if I do create, it's going to take me back to the list because I already made that adjustment. Perfect. All right. I should, however, create another, because when I get to appointments, I want to be able to select the doctor for the appointment. It's going to be like 3 steps. First, I select the date. And when I select the date, I should be able to see only the doctors who have schedules for that date. And when I select a doctor, I should only be able to see the slots that belong to that doctor on that date. So it's going to be like 3 inputs that are dependent on each other. So if I want to test that properly, I should have another schedule for another doctor. So first of all, let's create one more doctor in this clinic. Who do we call it? The JIT, you're promoted. Your phone is 444-444-4444. And you are now a doctor. And you're working on my awesome clinic. Let's see, create. Okay, so we have 2 doctors. Let's create a schedule for the JIT. Let's be same date. No, let's have it on Monday instead. And you start working at 11. And you have 2 slots, one for 11, from 11 to 11:30. Ooh. And another one for 11:30. Till lunch. Shad Waris. I'm gonna call you Waris. Sorry. I think it would be better if you show slots like 8:30 to 9, as a doctor can have a break in between, or slots can be more than 30 minutes. Yeah, you're right. Problem is, well, if a doctor has a break in between, let's say it works from 8:30 to 9, and then he has a break, like a 30-minute break in between he has a 30-minute break at 9. So the next slot will be 9:30. So we have one slot for 8:30 and another slot for 9:30. It doesn't really show that there is a break in between. So yeah, you're right. So, okay, so let me just finish this schedule and then we will tackle that, because you're right. There could be instances where you have one slot that starts at 8:30 and another one at 9:30. And that may seem like this slot is like 1 hour long, when in reality it's just it's just 30 minutes long. Thank you. That's a very clever observation. So let me just finish the schedule here. Create. How do we show both start and end on this batch? Let me see. I'm going to turn this into a proper function so that I can do some testing. So function carbon let's move this down one line like so. Okay, so at this point, we only the state is only going to be for whatever column we are showing, so only start. If we want to access the end as well, we should have access to the record. In this case, let's say schedule. Ooh. Schedule. See, that's a problem. When I try to access the current record, it's only going to give me access to the schedule. But that's a problem because schedule has many slots. How do I know which slot am I currently at? If I do this, for example, schedule, that'll give me access to the current schedule. But then I do schedule slots. That's going to give me an array. That's going to give me all of the slots, not the current slot that I'm working on. So that's a problem. Can I really not have access to the current slot? Okay, let's do some testing. Let's just output. No, hold on. I need the slot. Can I have the slot here? I'm guessing I can't, but let's see. Come on. Do the import. What do we get? So we do have the slot. Ah, okay. So if I do slot start, that's going to be a carbon instance, and if I format that to be H hour, minutes, AM, PM. I don't know why it complained before. It didn't. Oh, call to a member, call to a function member. Wait, call to a member function format. Oh no. Really? Hold on. Is it giving me an empty slot? It's giving me an empty slot. Dang it. How do we do this? Okay. Instead of boring you with me, with my thinking face, I'm going to go right now. I'm going to use just the start for now. So let me go back and undo all of this. Leave it as it was. So for now, I'm gonna go with just the start date, but I will look into how to turn that batch and show the start and end, because as of now, I don't know how to, I'm not sure how to do it, but I'm sure I can figure it out. Thing is, I don't want to figure it out in the stream because that's going to take way too long and we have other things to go over. But I will look into it and probably share it on the Discord server on the Tips and Tricks channel. And I will for sure update the GitHub repo and let you know that I let you know when that happens so that you can go in and check the complete code. But for now, let's just stick to the start time, sorry. Save this. And yeah. Let's for now let's move on to, I want to move on to appointments. I want to be able to create appointments for doctors and select the time slots for those doctors. So I believe there are a few changes that I need to do in appointments, because right now Yeah, the date is gonna stay, but start and end. Yeah, I'm aware. Actually, let's fix that right away. No, I can't. Well, let's do this. I will update the link in the description of this video once the stream is over, because I can't go in and update the stream while it's happening. But in the meantime, let me go and grab one link for you guys and put it in the chat. Rules, no. Okay, it's hidden because I'm sharing my screen. Edit invite link. See, this is what I do. Wait, this changed. Oh, here. Expires never. No limit. So I always do this and it still expires. I don't know why. So generate a new link, copy, and let's put this in the chat for now. And I will update and put that link in the description of this stream once the stream is over, so that you guys can access that. But for now, you can use this link to access the Discord server. It works now. All right, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, let's talk about appointments. The appointment doesn't need a start and end date anymore, because that's gonna be in the slot of the appointment. We still need a pet and a description. And we do need a date, but the date is not going to be in the appointment anymore, because that, again, it's on the schedule. But we do need a field to select a date, because, as I mentioned before, when I select a date, I want to see all of the doctors who have schedules on that date. And then when I select a doctor from that list, I want to see all of the slots that that doctor has. So let's start modifying this resource. How long have we been streaming for? An hour and 33 minutes. So I think we might have I don't want to go too long, like maybe 2 hours. So let's see how much we can accomplish in 30 minutes. Nick Niamu. Lots of love from Kenya. Hey, how you doing? Just joined. Currently watching the multi-tenancy video. Is there a way when keying in a start date for the appointment to ensure I can't book a date before today? Yeah, that's an interesting question. So you want to limit, yeah, like putting a validation in place where when you select a date, you can't go back in time. There has to be a way, of course. I don't have an answer for you just now, but I will figure it out and let you know. So again, use the link in the chat to post this question in the Discord server so I can give you better follow-up and even share code snippets on how to do it. So if you don't mind posting this question in the, I believe this is this filament related? Yeah, so go to the Filament Technical Help channel and post this question there, and I will follow up and let you know on how to do this. All right? Thank you for joining the stream. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a fantastic day, by the way. So let's go to the appointment resource and let's modify the form. We don't need a start and we do need a date, but we don't need a start and end. By the way, did we modify the appointments table at some point? Let me check. Let me check the migrations, create appointment clinic, update appointments table. We added a status with a default. And how does the appointment look like? Because I know at some point we reset. Yeah, okay, so we have a description, we have a pet ID, and we have a slot ID. So yeah, we did modify this table. Okay, good. So we have a date, but that date is not going to be stored in the model. But that does pose a problem, because as of now, all of the models are unguarded. So we might have an error when we try to create a record saying that the date column does not exist on the table. But let's cross that bridge when we get to it. All right. Push come to shove, we just have to remove the on guard statement from the service provider, and then we just have to go into the model and set the fillable array. But we'll get to that. For now, let's just work on modifying the form. So we have a date, we need a pet. Let's put the pet before the date, actually. So pet ID, that date, and then we have a description and a status. And the status only shows when we are editing the appointment. That's another thing. I'm probably going to end up not allowing the editing of appointments because of all of the things we're going to do right now, but I'll explain later. So many things to do. So we have a date. What do we need first? Okay, so we need to show a list of doctors who have schedules on a selected date. For that, I need to make that select dependent on the date. And when we do that, we have to make the date, which is the field we depend on, to be live. As a first step. Now let's create a select. So forms, components, select, let's make this is going to, let's call this Doctor ID. Again, this is not going to be this field, or this field does not exist on the model. I'm just creating a select so that I can have the doctor list. Now I need to create the options for the select. But for now, let's not do that just yet. I'm just going to create this, and let's just have options, and let's let the options be empty for now. I just want to visualize the form in its entirety before I start making changes. So we need a doctor, and then we need the slots. So let's add another forms, components, select, make. This is going to be for slot ID. And for now, let's just make it a relationship, just so that we have some options to look at. And the relationship name is lots. Is that enough? No, hold on. Relationship. Yeah, why are you complaining? You take in a string or a closure. Oh, you need more. So this will be the name. And you also need the title. Title attribute. And again, let's this ties up to the problem that we were having, where we show start and end. We probably want to do the same here, but again, for now, I'm just going to use start. And I do want to modify I do want to format this. So how do we format this? Is it hold on, let me check my notes. I think I have something for that. Oh, right. Get option label from record using. This takes a callback function where we are able to access the slot record. So here's even easier because I do have a slot here, specific slot. So let's try that. Do we even need to show the length of the appointment? I mean, thinking about it, in my experience, whenever I do book an appointment online, I'm only interested on when does that appointment start? What's the time of that appointment? Date and the time. How long does that appointment take? That's usually not like set in stone. It might be an hour, might be 30 minutes, but all from the customer perspective, all I need to know is when does that appointment, what date is that appointment and at what time. So showing the length of that appointment, the start and the end, I don't think that's absolutely necessary. What do you guys think? Let's actually see it and then discuss. So here I can do record. Since I'm already casting as carbon, we can do record start, and then format with hours, minutes, and AM, PM. Let's see how this looks. Okay. What do we have here? Call to undefined method appointment. Oh, right. The relationship in appointment is not slots, is slot because it's a belong to relationship. So the relationship name is slot. Okay, that works. 809? What? $809? That's interesting. Did I create all of those at 809? Doesn't make sense. Let me check. PHP artisan Tinker slot all. No, I didn't. 11:30. This is PM. That's weird. 11, 11:30, 8, 8:30. Why is it showing like 09? Why are you being weird? First of all, let's make this non-native. That's so weird. 809. This, first of all, is showing all of the slots, not limited to one doctor, but why is it showing an 09 next to it? Go back to schedules real quick. It's showing up nice here. 8 a.m., 8:30. If I go to edit, 8 a.m., 8:30. That one is not working. Why is it showing 09? Interesting. What happens if I don't format? See, now it's working. Kinda. So is the format screwing me over? 8, 8:30, 11, 11:30. Oh, right. Look at this. That's an M. Should be an I. M is for month. So let's uncomment that. So yeah, it was showing me hour and then month and then AM PM. My bad. There you go. Now it's better. So the logic here would be, first of all, I need to change the labels on this, but the idea is that these two fields, doctor and slot, would be invisible until you select a date. For example, if I select a date, then I can see the doctors, and when I select a doctor, then I can see the slots for that doctor. So these two, doctor and slot, would be hidden by default, and they would show up as soon as I'm selecting a value on the dependent field. Let's start with doctors. First of all, let's hide those fields. So the doctor is only going to be visible if I have made a selection on the date. So to do that, we can use the hidden function, which takes a callback function as well. So let's do function and what we can do is use the get object. So we do get like this. We need to make an import here, make sure that happens. So using get, I can get the value of other fields in the form like this. So I can do this hidden is expecting a boolean. So if it's true, then it's hidden. If it's false, then it's visible. So it's only hidden, or it's hidden when the date is empty. So we can do blank to test for a blank value, and we can test the value of date. So if date is blank, then doctor is hidden. Let's see if that works. Okay, we can't see the doctor input, but as soon as I make a selection for the date, now I can see the doctor input. Okay, now I need to show a list of doctors for the current clinic who have schedules on the selected date. Let's see how we can achieve that. Check my notes. So first of all, let's turn this into a proper function. Not this one, actually, the options, because we are going to create our own list of options based on the value of date. So let's do function. We are going to need the get object to check or to get the value of date. And just like we did with the list of doctors when we were showing when we were creating schedules, we did something similar in the schedule resource where we are only showing a list of doctors for the current clinic like this. So I'm going to copy this. Actually, let me remove this line as well. So let's copy this and paste it here. We do need a doctor role as again. So let's grab that line also. Let's paste it up here. And on this function, let's also use the doctor role. So this will give me a list of doctors for the current clinic, but it's not filtering by date just yet. What we can do is, since the doctor has a relationship with the schedule, a doctor can have many schedules. So let's limit using the schedules. We can do this with where has. So where has is used to query a relationship. In this case, the relationship is schedules. So first of all, we are working with the clinic. And then on that clinic, we are getting the users of that clinic. So now we're working with the users relationship. And on that relationship, we are querying only the users that belong to a doctor role. And now we are going to query only the users that have schedules on a specific date. So this takes the relationship name and a callback function. And this callback function takes in a builder, which is Illuminate Database Eloquent Builder. There you go. If you didn't see that, there is the import here. Illuminate Database Eloquent Builder. Let's call that query. So in here, we can modify the query for the schedules relationship, therefore limiting the list of users. And what do we want to do here? Basically, we want to do query where date, and we need the date here, and therefore we need to use get. So we have get here. We're passing get into the first callback function to get the options. And now we're passing that into the callback function where we are querying the schedules relationship like this. And now we can get the value of the date input like this. So let me review. So we get the current clinic, and on that clinic we get the list of users. We limit that list of users by the doctor role, and we also want to limit that list of users by filtering only the users who have schedules on the date that was selected. And then we do get, and then pluck, and name and ID. That should work. Let's see. Again, missing the import. I think this is because I copy pasted. Where's role? Filament resources not found. Where am I using role here? Oh, here. Aha. All right. So we don't see a doctor. First of all, let's check the schedules real quick. So we have schedules for the 3rd, which is today, and tomorrow. So if we selected today's date, we should only see this doctor. One doctor. And if we select tomorrow, we should see this other doctor. So let's try today. We select today. Filament resources, filament not found. Again, missing an import. Seems to be a habit nowadays. That usually happens when you do copy paste. Unfortunately, that's par for the course. I'm sure I imported builder. Filament is there now. Let's see. Again, select today's date. Call to undefined method user schedules. Do we not have a relationship for schedules on user? That's a good question. Let's check. We don't. So we need one. Let's add it right here, right after clinic. Let's do public function schedules. This will be a has many relationship. Let's return this has many schedule class. And I believe the foreign key is called owner ID. All right, let's try that again. Select today's date. Now we can see the doctor input and it's empty. Why is it empty? Let me try with Thinker. So let me get a user first. So user all, and let's say user equals user find 4, which is Virgil. And now let's do user schedules. I think I know what the problem is. See how the date is formatted like this? Let me just confirm my theory. If we go back to the schedule appointment resource, sorry. What happens if I die dump the value for date? That's the only breaking point right now. So if I do that, let's go back here, refresh and select today's date. See? The value that I'm getting has the date and the time. But the value in the database has only the date. That's why I'm getting an empty list. So we need to format that value here before we pass it down to the where query. So let's do date equals, I'm going to have to use carbon parse get date. Wait, I think there is an easier way. Let's not do this just now, just yet. Instead, let's go to schedule. Let's go to the schedule model. And let's cast the date as a date. Let's see what happens. So protected casts date, and let's cast this as a date time. So by just doing that, if I go to Tinker again, let's exit and use Think exit. Come on. If I go Tinker again and then select that same user and then check the schedules, it's still showing up like that. Maybe I have to recreate the schedule. What happens if I do? Let's create another schedule just for fun. Go to schedules. What happens if I create a new one? Let's say for today, legit, and just for 8 a.m. 1 p.m. Sorry. So if I create this one, now that I'm casting the date, what happens? First of all, this looks ugly. Now I can see that the date when I'm selecting it has the time in it. Is Tinker not doing it right? So exit. Let's just do schedule all. Okay, see, this new schedule here now has the time in it. That will allow me to not have to format the value from the input. But then again, I'll have to go and recreate these two schedules. Let's do it here. So let's say schedule. Can I do update? Now let's do it like this. Schedule equals schedule find. Let's do 2 first. I'm doing it manually just so that I don't have to delete the schedule and recreate it again. But whenever we create a new schedule, the date should be in the correct format. So let's just do this and then add time in there. And then save it. Let's do the same for 3. And that was supposed to be for 4th. And then save. All right, we should be good now. Let's go back and test. So appointments, new appointment, select today's date. I forgot the die and dump, but at least now I know I have a right value here. Appointment resource. Where's the dyeing dump? I removed it, but it didn't save. Okay. Save that. Try this again. Select today's date. I have a doctor. Oh, it's still empty. Funny. All right, let's do it your way. Date equals carbon parse get date format So for the date, it should be after or equal today, and end time after start time. I don't have an end time on the schedule. And I can't do today because I have to use the date. I mean, I'm selecting the today's date, but what if I do tomorrow's? So I understand that this should be the date value, and maybe I should do after or equal, just so that it doesn't care about the time for validation. Yeah, I haven't even started on validation just yet. But yeah, thank you. That's a valid point. Let me just try this first, and then we can if it doesn't work, I'll try after or equal. So now I have a parse date, and what happens if I put it here? Not a new tab. So today's date, 3rd, and I still don't have any doctors. That's weird. I'm gonna have to do some testing on this one. Let's use Tinker, just to make sure that everything is supposed to be working. So let's do PHP artisan Tinker. So let's see. We are using a clinic, so let's find the clinic first. We're using this clinic, so let's say clinic equals clinic find 2. We're gonna try this for another 15 minutes, all right? If Olivier van de Velde, thank you for the filament course. You're so much welcome. I'm glad you're liking it. And I gotta say, the reception that I've got on that mini course has been amazing. More than I could have dreamed of. So thank you for downloading it. I'm very glad that you're liking it. And also, if you're here and you don't know about it, I have a filament mini course called Filament Bootcamp, and you can grab it right now for free, but it's going to be free only for 1 more week. So hurry up and grab it now before it changes price. And you can find the link, you can find a video about that in my YouTube channel, and you can follow that link. Actually, let me grab that link for you. It's on Gumroad, by the way. Gumroad. I will start from tomorrow. We'll share feedback with you. Yeah, appreciate all the feedback that you have. Please do share it with me. That's the only way I can improve. Thank you so much. And you're very, very welcome. Let's see where can, okay. So here's the link for the course. Like I said, act quickly because it's going to be free just for 1 more week. If you grab it now, it's yours forever. And even if it goes up in price, you will have access to whatever is in there right now and whatever update I do down the road. So back to this, I'm going to try and fix it for another 15 minutes because it's very weird that it's not showing up. So I'm going to do some testing on the Tinker, on the Tinker session. But if I can't figure it out in the next 15 minutes, I'll probably just do it off camera and then share it with you guys in the following week. And then again, update the code and share with you what was the problem, how I solved it. Because I don't want to take up more than 15 minutes just solving a bug. I don't want to disrespect your time. So I have a clinic, so this is my awesome clinic. So yeah, what I'm doing is I'm doing clinic. And then I'm going users. And that gives me all of the users for that clinic. And then on that, I'm doing, I need a role. Doctor role equals role where name doctor first. Now I do clinic users where belongs to doctor role, and that gives me the list of users, sorry. That gives me a list of users, a list of doctors for that clinic. Now, let me check the code. I do where has on schedules. So where has schedules. And this takes in illuminate what was it? Illuminate database eloquent builder. Illuminate database eloquent builder query. Now on that query, I'm doing query where date, and it's supposed to be 2023 9/3 without seconds. Let's do it without seconds and see how it goes. Ooh, I need a semicolon here. And then get. See, that's giving me a value. That's giving me one user. And that's the one user that has a schedule on that date. But if I do it like this, it still works. Huh. What's going on? Could it be? Oh, of course. Oh my god. This is so dumb. So it's working, and actually I can just I can not parse the date here. But what's going on? Oh, come on. Delete the date. Delete the line. There you go. What's going on is I'm not... Wait. Why is get... Oh. I have to use get here. This is a callback function that expects an array in return. But if you don't return an array, you won't have any options. So you have to return the array. I hate it when things go wrong, but I love it when I figure things out. Even if it's the dumbest thing. Figuring things out is just the greatest feeling. So let's save this and try again. Today's date. And now we have a doctor. We have a doctor in the house. Is that the only one for today? Let me check the schedules. We should have more than one. For today's date, we should have two. So that's a problem. But at least we have a list now. That's is that a problem? Maybe it's just the date format, because we created the second one. Yeah, it's the date format. The schedule for the second one, that is the JIT, and we created that after we cast. We defined a cast for the date, so that's why that's the only one that's showing up. I thought we updated the first one, but probably didn't. So let's just do this. Bye. Let's recreate this one. So let's create a new schedule for today for the other doctor, going 8 a.m. to 8:30. 8:30, come on. Just one slot, just to make sure that works. So let's create that. Now we have two doctors. for this date, and I'll fix this format in a bit. So if we go to appointments, create new appointment, select the date, we should have 2 doctors. Awesome. So yeah, it was a problem. The first schedule was created before we casted the date as a carbon instance, which adds the time at the end. So it's date and time, even though it's 000. So the second one, we created that after we casted the date, and that one has the time in it. So that's why it wasn't show up. I did update it using Thinker, but looks like it didn't stick. And let me just turn this into a non-native select. All right. Now we need to work on the slots, because now, first of all, it should not be visible unless you select both a date and a doctor, so that you can see the slots for that doctor on that date. And then when you do, you should only see the slots for that specific selection. And let me check the time real quick. We have been going for 2 hours and 26 minutes already. Let's do this. So it's been fun. Unfortunately, I had some things that didn't go as planned, so it had to go a little bit longer. But let's keep on going next week from here, where we are going to work on the slot field so that we can show only a list of slots depending on the doctor and the date. And once we accomplish that, I'm going to end up just creating a panel for doctors, because right now when you admin the schedules, you can admin schedules for all of the doctors in the system, and that makes sense for an admin. But for doctors, I just want them to administer their own schedule and not anyone else's. So the easier way to accomplish that is just create a new panel and create a schedule resource just for doctors, where they can only see their own schedule and they can manage their schedule and add slots, etc. It's easier than having to figure out or having to tinker with this schedule resource and having to figure out what role the user has and what columns to show, etc. So I think I'm just going to create a new panel for doctors, and let's do that next week. And we're also going to finish working on appointments. So thank you everyone so much for showing up. It's been amazing, and I'll see you guys next week. See you in the next one.